Hello, my name is Nanette Sage, and I have something called trigger finger. I have trigger finger in these 8 fingers. My thumbs have not got trigger finger yet. Trigger finger is, well, I mean, you can research it, but basically, I can't close my fingers all the way without causing pain and discomfort. What happens is the tendons have built up nodules, and if I close them far enough, it's almost like they pop out of joint and then opening them, popping back into joint, but it's a very painful experience. I have reached the point where the doctors want me to consider surgery for my trigger finger. Surgery is where they're cutting into your hand, and then what they do is they don't actually cut through anymore. What they do is you have 2 tendons on your fingers, and they cut one of them to reduce the amount of tension, stopping that nodule. I have tried physical therapy. I was getting shots in my hands for a number of years to try to use my hands. What it is I can't close my hands without these problems. Now, some things I found work. I'm looking for my thing that I use, but basically, some things work to help me to close my hands. For example, if I have a container in my hand and I need to be able to close it, if I hold that container as tight as I can for a little while, and I can do it because in my case I have it on both hands. I close the container as tight as I can for as long as I can, and I just keep tightening it and tightening it. And what it's doing is it's forcing the tendons and everything to stretch and warm up. And if I keep doing it, then I can close my hands more than I could before. Now, if I keep doing that with those longer, I could probably close my hands almost all the way. Another thing I found is if I soak my hands and my forearms in hot water for a long time, just keep the water hot, a basin or something, just add some boiling water, a little bit of boiling water to it to keep it hot, not all boiling, you don't want to burn yourself. Then that also helps me to close my hands. But recently I found something that for me works really well. And I don't know if other people have trigger finger or not, and if they've reached a point where, it's like, oh, I can't close my hands without pain. Picking up stuff, you're picking up something and you need to, close it to cut something, and trigger finger, you're like, the minute it closes, suddenly your trigger finger gets triggered, and next thing you know, you have 3 fingers that are you having to pop back, and it's really not fun. I don't know how many times I've taken my hand and I put it on my other arm, and I just be pulling until they pop back, or I'll go to a table and I'll hook it on the table and I'll push down and have to pop them back. It's not fun. But I found something that for me works, and I'm making this video for you, if you have trigger finger, for you to give it a try as well. And here's what it is. I take my fingers and I put them like this. So, you've seen people doing this, stretching, and they'll take their fingers and, a lot of times people do this, right? Well, I do the reverse, this. And you take it. Now, my pinkies have the hardest time getting additional closure. But if I take these and then I just keep it tight, and I slowly, but not to the point where they're going to break, and I slowly bring them in. And then what I do is I just slowly close them a little bit more until, just had a knuckle crack, until I reach a point where my palms are against each other. Then I'm pushing on the knuckle areas in to stretch even more. And what I'm doing is I'm stretching these parts right here, these areas. I'm stretching the tendons. And it's not nearly as painful at all compared to the trigger finger. It's a stretching pain. It's like when you have a real tight muscle and you're stretching it. And so I found that if I take this, as I said, my thumbs are not triggered. But I do use my thumbs to try to push this one in to hold it so it also gets the stretching. And then I do this for a few moments. I don't have to do it for a long time, and I don't have to squeeze something as hard as I can. I don't have to soak in hot water. But if I do that, and then I take it out, and I found that my hands can close further. Okay, like this one still can't close all the way. And you can see that fingers are still triggering, some of them. But this one at least can close all the way. Now, I found if I just keep working the fingers that aren't closing, again, it's not the most comfortable, but it doesn't hurt as much as the trigger finger. But I found and then at a certain point when you're stretching, the stretching pain doesn't, it's not as painful. And again, it's just like a real sore muscle that's, when you stretch it hurts, and you're just like, oh, just keep stretching it until it comes out. Okay, now it's not. Now after a few minutes, it's like, oh, it doesn't hurt so much when I stretch now. Try doing the splits and watch how much it hurts. So now I've stretched them. And again, this finger doesn't want to stop triggering. But these guys, look at that. I can get down, well, not all of them, but I can get down pretty good with most of them. It just, some of them still trigger. But this hand, the majority of them, look at that. I could pick up change. I can actually pick up change and it won't fall out of my hand. Okay? I could catch a fly and it won't just, fly out, For the longest time, I couldn't close my hand this point. And so I'd pick up change, and if I turned my hand the wrong way, change would fall out. So for trigger finger, again, I'm putting my fingers this way. It's not this, not this, this. This is something I do. I don't know if it'll work for you. I can only hope it will. But I do this. I slowly come back. And you see how these, the knuckles are popping a little bit out because, you got to get that point of comfort. And then I just close it. Thumbs are not trigger fingered. I don't have anything to worry about on those. But this is what I'm doing. And I'm closing it to the palm. And then I'm pushing where the knuckles are tighter. And this is the way I'm doing it. And this helps it so that at least one of my hands, look at that. These aren't triggering. That one's still triggering. But these guys aren't triggering nearly, see, remember, you saw a few moments ago, these all triggered? Now look at that. Look at that. Now the pinky, I haven't figured that one out. But this one, I got a whole fist. Look at that. It's like, I can use this hand. This hand is usable. And so, every morning when I get up, first thing I do is this. And that way I can hold my toothbrush, I can hold my hair. Because when I wake up in the morning, my hands are like that. And I can't close them without triggering. They wake up like this. But now, I stretch them first thing. I can hold my toothbrush, I can hold my hairbrush. My hands are able to grip things. All right. My name is Nanette Sage, and hopefully this video will help anybody else that has trigger finger. Bye. Bye-bye.